As you can see there, 5 Steam matches as Barrick, and you'll get the engineer skin, which looks very much like the TF2
How cool
style.
is that, man?
That just gives you a throwback as well. On top of that, seeing Fernando getting beat by Drogoz there, fantastic.
I mean, but I felt a little bad because when I see Fernando, then I think of the Ares skin, and then I think of my teammate Brochacho and how sad he would be. Because he's getting focus as Ares, and that's always my fault that I'm not peeling for him.
Make sure you do download Paladins today on Steam for free, open beta right now. However, on to today's action, Europe. And it's the final day of Europe here during the placement stages. And as you can see, the standings on the left-hand side there, there's still things to play for today, Aggro. A lot of these teams can actually mix things up. I don't think one team is solid right now.
No, all 8 spots up for grabs right now. And who would have said that NRG got to fight for first place and actually need some help to get first place today?
The biggest help they really need, first of all, is from themselves. They need to 2-0 the start of the today against Cyclone, just to put some pressure onto Bipolar Method at the end of the day. As you can see, Obey, the new little symbol of the 12 points there, that was formerly known as Hungry for More, but now they've got a nice new sponsor for themselves.
It's nice and clean. It's like that Hungry for More was like a big mouth, you know, it was real loud.
It looks like an O
and a B, yeah.
OB. Obey.
Obey.
God, they were smart when they designed that one, weren't they? So yeah, we do have a couple of new sponsors coming through. At the same time, though, let's get into today's focus of this game at the start anyway. NRG versus Cyclone. Cyclone sat on 3 points here, can climb themselves up a little bit in the standings, which could influence their placement overall. NRG, though, sat in second.
Surprisingly, yes, but it's still the same NRG or Panthera that we all know and love. I mean, they haven't looked bad. You know, just a couple dropped games, splits with Cringe Crew and Bipolar Method. So, you know, it's still going to be adapting. It's still going to be Yammyn. It's still going to be iRaffer. All these guys. Cyclone. This is sort of, if they could pull off a win today, force that split, huge for them coming into this land stage. Bumps them up, like you said, out of that lower bracket, and as well, just the confidence boost that would bring.
Definitely.
Beating NRG the last week.
And we've seen that come out from a couple of teams that have beaten NRG in the past, at least 4 splits from them. NRG's still not dropped a set in a very long time, however. Like we said, Cringe Crew and Bipolar Method, the only one that have done that. Cyclone really looking to try and make something happen for themselves today. Even if they don't find wins, though, Aggro, you can learn a lot by taking on the best.
No doubt. Just seeing what you're going to go up against when you do come to land, whether it's NRG, Bipolar Method, you know, any sort of group combination that you can get into there. You want to know what you're going up against to be like, okay, last time we played them, this is what we did, this is where we went wrong, this is what we could do to improve. Definitely helpful.
Does it help you more explore weaknesses of your own team by playing against the best teams?
Sometimes, yeah, you're like, okay, maybe this comp that we thought was really good has this glaring weakness that NRG immediately exploited. So we have to figure out a way around that. Maybe NRG is using their team fight relics better than we are. We can improve on that. There's always something that you can pull from a better team.
Well, let's see what Cyclone can get out of this. Nemesis and Ao Kuang, so pretty stunning bans from them. NRG banned out the Fafnir, got one more to do. Maybe Susano, maybe Terra here?
Surprised not to see the Terra going for the Giannis ban. Wanted to keep that away from Wlfy. Kind of one of their one of the rising stars on Cyclone, certainly in that mid lane.
I agree with Wlfy as well. You know, he's been around for a very long time in the scene, but this is his first real split in terms of competitive play in the SPL. So he's not really had a point to prove, so to speak, but he's really shown that he can stand with the best of them.
And that's important, just being able, as soon as you finally break in, just being like, yes, I belong here. And you can see it paying off already with a Giannis ban, letting Cyclone pick up that high priority Terra.
Well, Yammyn is in love with Raijin right now, and has been for quite some time. He's played 8 games of it so far this split. This will be his 9th already.
This is just what's so tough about going up against a team like NRG, in that you have to ban Nemesis, right? Because adapting plays it really well. You have to ban Ao Kuang because he's like the premier Ao Kuang player right now. Really the only team that we see Ao Kuang getting banned out early against still consistently. But then you leave up Raijin and Susano. And it's like, okay, we could have picked one of those instead of Terra, and then we're giving iRaffer Terra. Your hand is kind of, you're handcuffed.
Forced.
Right, your hand is forced.
Forced to hand it the whole time. Ice's Fenrir, though, nice little combo coming out from CycloneGG early on here. A lot of lane pressure early.
Definitely a lot of lane pressure early. The ability to possibly make those invades happen, keep Yammyn or Susano down, not letting them get that farm. And Fenrir does a pretty decent job against Susano. You can kind of follow him through that dash after the Storm Kata. So there is some sort of counterplay there. But speaking of counterplay, Ares locked in against Fenrir. That is tough.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of an interesting one. I do like that against Terra as well. For some reason in my head, I kind of like the idea of that, because obviously she doesn't have any CC immunity and any of her abilities. You're not really going to want to take purification. She's very good at escaping though, but if you can no escape her, different story.
No escape. Once you get those chains on you after that ultimate, the double dash is completely useless. You can't use it. Definitely an interesting, maybe, you know, NRG's practice against this Terra and says, yeah, we like the Ares, and they had the Fenrir, so it's, you know, we were going to pick the Ares anyways, maybe. That's what we like against Terra. This kind of helps as well.
At the same time, NRG, I mean, they like to experiment and show like what they can do to counter gods. They don't always ban everything out. Like Guan got left up a lot just to show NRG, like, we will always run Circuit if you try and run out Guan.
And that's the sign of a really great team, that they're not worried about what you get. They're always thinking more about what they can play and how they can play their game. And when you have that confidence as a top team, like, yes, we know that we can beat these teams even if we get out drafted, it lets you be much more flexible and kind of try out new things.
Well, Sol locked in as well as Apollo and Xing's hand, more than likely for the solo win here. Although, a bit of a flex option, I'd say. I think more predominantly, though, we'll see the solo being Xing 10.
I would be pretty surprised if we didn't see that. And Xing Chen was seeing a lot of play after those buffs.
Yeah.
Small buffs, you know, the wind-up time on the ultimate, down from 1.25 seconds to 1 second, and then being able to use abilities in between those double jumps that you have on the 3. But yeah, we've seen him a lot recently.
But at the same time, if you use another ability during that double jump, you can only really use the raw more than anything else off that double jump. And if you try and use the knock up as well in the root, it's going to put it on cooldown for sure.
Definitely, but you can, like, oh, hold on, iRaffer in a little bit of trouble. The whole grouping from Cyclone, the Spirit Ball's good, and that's going to be first blood. iRaffer just caught out.
He walked around the corner, but look what Cyclone did there. They all hung at that corner aggro. They knew that rotation could have been coming. The ward even still got down there by NRG, but they just knew this is pre-planned.
Well, that's worth. He got the ward down. What's his job? Get the ward down.
I mean,
he got the ward down.
Is it worth giving VoteNBK a free kill?
No, of course
though?
not. I'm just trolling you right now. No, that's Cyclone doing their homework. iRaffer probably uses the same route every time.
Yep.
Let's just kill him. And when you've got a comp like Isis, Fenrir, Apollo early, you definitely have that opportunity.
I mean, that goes all the way back to the young Badger, who used to do that a lot for the side of SNK back in the day. He used to always play Geb, go down the duo lane to go and ward, and teams day after day after day would sit and wait for him to walk around the corner. And he still did it. Eventually, he stopped, which was fantastic, but that's kind of a sign of things that you can do if you see these rotations early that are always the same every time.
Being predictable is a death sentence in every competitive game ever. I mean, so much about being in competitive sports or esports is having that sort of unpredictability to you. When you go in the same route every time, it's going to hurt you.
Now, one thing I do like from Cyclone straight away, VoteNBK did something that not a lot of players do, and I'm surprised they don't. He went straight back to base, spent that gold. He's got extra movement in this lane with those boots 1 that he picked up with that bonus gold.
I do like that as well. You're right. We don't see that a whole lot.
No.
And maybe it's because a lot of First Bloods sort of happen as the buffs are spawning, as the invades are happening. But that happened so early that NBK had the time to go back and get that. So now, Sol, not having those boots 1, is going to have a tough time getting away from VoteNBK, even with that to separate.
Well, early on, you can see the Raijin Harp. He's going to get taken down by Cyclone here. Fenrir, Isis combining early on in this lane. Nice early start for the boys of Cyclone. That's exactly where they want to be. They're looking towards those fire elementals. Oh, did he steal that? I think he did.
I think he got all of them and the double stun. No, it looks like he only got 2, but that's exactly what you want. Yammyn unable to do these left-hand Harpies by himself, so now Wlfy has both mid-Harpies and 2 fire elementals. He's going to hit 5 significantly before Yammyn, possibly even before, like, right around as those buffs spawn, and so that invade potential for Cyclone that we mentioned during the draft is getting even better.
And surprisingly off that as well, you saw what was forced out of adapting there. Instead of coming towards the mid lane, he ended up going back to solo to take some experience from Dimi, just to make sure he could try and stay in par with the opposition Fenrir.
And that's going to make sure that Deathwalker hits 5 before Dimi does, and possibly iceicebabyy before adapting. And if you can get 2 ultimates online before the enemy team, that is a huge, huge power spike for you.
What a great start coming out from Cyclone here. Now they're pressuring the duo lane as well here. Obviously, Sol Ares against an Apollo Terra, very interesting between the two, as that Spirit Ball was on the mark there from Wlfy, but Thunder crashed to save the day from Yammyn.
More importantly, that the Unchained from iceicebabyy was not on the mark. Yammyn probably would have been forced to use his Purification there had that leap hit with the runes available.
We also do see a blink coming out from iRaffer this game as well at the start of this one, so looking for the aggression on the Ares early on, which I can completely understand against the composition he's against here. As we talk about aggression, Callus there, just pointing out the poke, making sure he's clearing the wave.
That's Terra for you. I mean, you're going to get rooted, and then you're going to get stunned, and you're taking that tick damage from the obelisk. But I do like the blink pickup because I want to see them abuse Callus on that Terra early. Like you mentioned in the drafting stage, he doesn't have any CC immunity available to him in that kit, and he did not go for the Purification, electing for the Shell instead. He should be fairly free early before he gets that Purification online, or protections rather. And so getting that blink, every time that's up, we're going to be looking for him plus one more.
And not only that as well, I mean, the Monolith not going to give as much healing earlier on in the game as well. Cooldowns are a little bit longer, so to speak. So because of that, they could try and abuse Terra, but she is 5 now.
That being said, with the new changes to the reinforced Greaves, Ares is all tick damage, right? So you're going to be stacking up those passives on the new boots for Terra, which I'm assuming she'll be going for, and that could prove problematic, maybe not able to burst him as easily as you were in the past.
And I think with that shell as well that Callis has picked up, I think that's a very wise decision from him already at the start of the game. Expecting more than likely to be focused himself, he could have probably chose Meditation or Shell here, and I think either one would have been fine.
Shell's fine because like I mentioned, you're going to be looking for at least one other person with him, and if they get pulled, you're going to want that extra protection for them as well as yourself.
Well, Cyclone were looking for a little cheeky one around the red buff on the left-hand side here, but instead, NRG, well, they were looking towards the speed buff of Cyclones. However, the rotation coming back out from both teams, everyone's going to just go back to farming, although on the left-hand side, we see some aggression from Raffer. No escape's going to be used. Callis getting pulled into a dangerous spot. The burst is here from Yammyn too, and he's going to stand in the Monolith, but it's not going to be good enough, and Adapting gets the second kill of the game.
We saw Yammyn and Adapting on that right-hand side, and then as soon as the call was made that they were invading the red buff, immediately rotate over. iceicebabyy doing a nice job trying to get that speed buff, but Adapting sniffs it out instantly. And we talked about how iceicebabyy should have been a little bit ahead of Adapting probably, but Adapting taking that wave in the solo lane, not missing out on that middle wave that he almost did, led him to hit 6 before iceicebabyy did, so maybe they were a little dissuaded from invading that speed buff initially.
I think at the same time, iceicebabyy being there on his own as well was a little bit worried about some potential rotations there as well. So they give up the chance to invade, but they will secure the left-hand harpies and the right ones as well. So they continue with this little small march forward here.
And that's okay. You can see the XP per minute right now. Ice is level 7. Dimi and Deathwalker just hitting that now. And when you have those levels on Isis, you feel very confident because you're a little bit tankier. You're getting that HP per level, and you're able to withstand maybe an extra ability, an extra auto attack. And Isis kind of needs that survivability, and not to mention the high base damage on her abilities.
Well, Cyclone so far this split, they've only managed to pick up themselves up 3 splits, one against Fantastic, one against Sanguine, and then the other one, surprisingly, against Dignitas, a team that you wouldn't necessarily have expected from a team coming up from the Challenger scene.
And that's a good sign, right? You want to be able to take those games from teams that are a little bit above you in the standings, and Cyclone has shown that ability, and with the start they've had thus far against NRG, it's a possibility that we see another one today.
Well, over on the left-hand side as well, keeping an eye on VoteNBK then, how his build's coming. You can see emilitoo has actually taken Doom Mob up against him, but Warrior Tabby have been completed early, and he is working towards an Iqbal as well, which isn't something you always see all the time against magical hunters, but it can still be useful.
It can. It just provides that extra attack speed, and you do get some extra power whenever you are hitting, against Adapting or Dimi. You'll always get some use out of it, but can we stop for a second that Vampiric Shroud building that second, why not just get your starter item first? It's so annoying to look at, isn't it?
I think people do. I think mainly NRG do that because people get upset about it.
I do get upset.
There is the trick,
and everyone else did it right except for Raffer. But
I mean, there is a trick to be able to put your third item in if you were really trying hard. You could put it in the third item slot for your starter item if you wanted to as well.
Why wouldn't you just put it first? It looks so much better. Starter items should be locked to that first slot. Can we get the design? Can we get a design team?
Right, what is it with casters like Casper who are chair 2, right? And
God, I just hate it. I don't know.
Have to pick on stupid stuff the whole time. Just get over it, okay?
Well, all right.
It's too early for that. Worrying about starter items being in the wrong slot.
But wouldn't it look better with the Vampiric Shroud first?
Well, talking about items actually though, the boots as well. We talked about reinforced Greaves, and I think this is one thing that all the supports are going to have to get used to because it seems like it's going to have to be core, especially with the amount of protections it gives. But it does mean they're going to get less gold overall aggro.
It does. The Traveler's Shoes definitely helped you a lot with that farm, getting the extra procs off of hitting gods. But like you said, it looks to be core thus far. But yesterday we saw Eager pick up 3 pairs on the jungler and in the solo lane, and one of those was on Xing Chen. Xing Chen actually going for the cooldown boots here as Deathwalker, which has also just been buffed.
He's going to be fully committed on here, but the rotation from Cyclone is here, as well as Terra's Blessing on Deathwalker. Keeps him standing for now. Adapting, trying to turn this one around. He's blinking in with the no escape as well, looking for a pull, but only finds Callis, and Callis still stands tall. Meanwhile, Dimi dives so deep, didn't get any reinforcements, and ended up getting cleaned up by Deathwalker, and now Raffer's left alone too. This is 2 kills the way of Cyclone very quickly, and it's a great start.
iRaffer blinked in with that ultimate, almost grabbing Deathwalker, but he immediately activates that Whirlwind of Rage and Steel, not only not getting pulled, but then throwing Dimi again into that tier 2 tower where iceicebabyy had brought him with the Ragnarok. A little bit unfortunate, like, timing overall there for NRG, but great timing for Cyclone. Nice ultimate from Wlfy, providing the protection and healing on that Isis as well.
You talk about Wlfy, like he didn't use his ultimate there actually, because he's still got it available right now for this Gold Fury. And that's the perfect thing you want, especially when Yammyn channels the drum toward, but the fear is fantastic from Yammyn. Experience shown, adapting gonna fall back after a bit of damage there, just to make sure they reset this buff.
I love that play. You could see the hesitation almost on the side of Yammyn, like, okay, wait, they dropped the ultimate, I'm not gonna be able to burst through this. Oh, I'll just leash the Gold Fury for them. I'll push them out of the Gold Fury pit. Excellent, excellent presence of mind by Yammyn there, not thinking of the traditional damage route and more of the peel for the objective.
Just experience from NRG coming through there. So they hold the gold lead a little bit here, Cyclone, but not as much as they would have liked, especially with that Gold Fury being available to him. Still a very substantial one, though, considering they're against the world champions here.
Yeah, you're never going to be upset at 1,300 gold, but whenever you get 2 picks, it was just unfortunate that those 2 picks were on the solo side of the map. If they're on that Gold Fury side, it doesn't take them, you know, 8 to 10 seconds to walk over to the left side of the map. They probably get that Gold Fury for free, but you're going to take 2 kills any day of the week, wherever you can get them.
Well, Deathwalker doing his blue buff here. It'll take him a while as he's a Guardian after all, but at the same time, he was the one aggressed on by NRG there in this solo lane, looking to try and exploit this early game of Xing 10. However, got turned on now. iceicebabyy rotating in at the same time as adapting. Did commit a little bit there, just looking at farm more than anything else.
It was a great rotation by Kalis there. That's really what saved Deathwalker. The ultimate global, but then laying down that obelisk right where he was in trouble. The healing, the extra movement speed, everything like that definitely helped Deathwalker. And then without him living, Dimi probably doesn't fall because he doesn't get tossed back into that tier 2 tower.
Well, we did see Adapting go back to base there and picked up the Jotuns. We've seen a bit of a trade-off here. We normally see Void Shield, but now we're seeing a bit of a difference in jungler. Some going for Jotuns before Void Shield or Void Shield then Jotuns.
It feels more like a personal preference sort of thing to me. iceicebabyy electing to go for that Void Shield, and I prefer that on a Fenrir. You know, you want to be in there, you want to be in the middle of the fray, taking a little bit more damage than, say, a Susano who's in and out, and that cooldown probably helping Susano a little bit with that slippery nature that he has.
Well, we're starting to hit power spikes again in this game as we approach 10 minutes, because level 12s are on the way for a lot of people, and that's when those second relics come into play as well, and I don't feel teams abuse that enough just yet, Aggro, the fact that when the relic comes online, you're like, hang on, we've got a power play here.
Yeah, if you can back as soon as you hit 12, and then the other team hasn't hit 12 quite yet, that is a huge extra cooldown that you have. I mean, you see it all the time when a defensive relic is forced or something like that. Teams immediately aggress on that person, right? Oh, this person doesn't have Sanctuary. They've got no sprint. They've got no shell. We can fight. It's the same thing, it's just they don't even have it purchased yet.
Well, look at this. NRG going to go for the Gold Fury themselves this time. They've got a lot of burst damage with the Supernova too. VoteNBK looking for the steal, but he won't be able to find it. NRG get the Gold Fury for free and immediately disengage.
Yeah, 3 ultimates used, and huge ultimates at that. Raijin, Soul, and Adapting ult. And now Cyclone going to be looking at this red buff, but it's just iceicebabyy and Kalis.
And iceicebabyy, they're really thinking about going on to iRaffer for a second, but at the end of the day, changed his mind. I think he respected the fact that no escape was still up, and he could pop it if he went for the eat.
He does have the purification available, but he was still going into 4 people, and you don't really want to do that. Already half health, and having popped that Ragnarok. At least, did they get that red buff? No, it doesn't look like they did. So that's a little bit unfortunate on the side of Cyclone. That's just NRG recognizing that they, even if they have to blow all these ultimates, they did a nice job of not committing fully to defending the red buff. It was like, okay, you can take this if you get it, but we're not going to let you have it for free.
That's also NRG recognizing buff timers as well, because speed buff was spawning for iceicebabyy then at the same time as they did that Gold Fury around that time. So they had 3 members of Cyclone on the right-hand side of the map. And obviously, as you can see, the speed buff about to come up for NRG, so they're off different cooldowns here.
One of the advantages of having a different timer on your speed buff is that exactly, knowing that look, you're a jungler, you want your speed buff. It's ingrained into your soul. That's all they want is speed buff. It's like winning, speed buff, other objectives.
Every jungler ever.
Right, every jungler. So you know that iceicebabyy is going to be on that right side, picking up that speed buff, and you aren't even in danger of losing yours. However, if they are on the same timer, you can also use that to your advantage, because you could say, oh man, I'm going to the left side of the, maybe I'm looking for a gank in the duo lane, or so you think. You can invade my speed buff, we'll take the Gold Fury instead. But right there, I mean, the off timer just works out perfectly for NRG.
Well, we do see Deathwalker here, gone back to base, level 13 now, took Blink as his second relic, but the most interesting thing is the Mantle of Discord, so very early on.
Very, very early on. I mean, most of these characters that are going to be in his face, are interrupting a Talu Assault, interrupting Susano when he's trying to dash away, both of those are very important, but it's just so expensive early game. It does give him the CDR that Xing desperately needs, but Breastplate of Valor is fairly cheap, at least compared to Mantle of Discord.
And with cooldown reduction built into it, mana as well, which are two things definitely a Guardian solo laner would like.
Exactly. Neither of those items do provide health, which is important for solo laners as well. But the Mantle of Discord is so expensive. It's a luxury item, really, when you look at it. I guess if you're in the solo lane and you're getting a lot of farm anyways, it's not as bad as, say, on a support, something like that. But I would have probably liked to see a Breastplate of Valor there instead.
Well, one thing for sure, it will dissuade NRG from trying to all-in him under the tower as well, just because that Mantle of Discord will slow him. And so, adapting, turning his attention to the left-hand side. He did steal the back harpies there on the left as well from Cyclone, who we were watching on the map, and then pressured VoteNBK a little bit, allowing emilitoo some room for maneuver in that lane.
And it looks, it's interesting. Hold that thought. iceicebabyy getting 3 chains, immediately having to pop the Ragnarok in response, but adapting's waiting for him around the corner.
And now iceicebabyy still in trouble here, but has purification available for himself as well if he gets continued on. But adapting didn't really fancy taking that fight. Even Dimi was thinking about coming over as well. Interesting attempt from NRG.
And there's no reason to, because they just got 2 ultimates completely for free. It was literally just iRaffer hitting the chains.
Well, back to the left-hand side goes adapting again, and VoteNBK being forced onto his tower one more time. Nice play from him, though, with the Mesmerize. Didn't overly panic there and used his purification or his sanctuary to get away.
Didn't need to, but he is going to lose that tier 1 tower. Just a huge rotation already. And emilitoo, with that fully stacked Doom Orb and the boots completed, he's already swinging on these towers.
But Dazin really tried to make a play there, trying to pull NBK in one more time, especially with iRaffer waiting in the wings there around the corner with the blink available for himself as well. Unfortunately, you can find it, but look at that build from iRaffer as well. A little bit of magical defense, now working potentially towards a Spirit Robe or had the Urchin, but blinking mid, no escape, only going to connect with one target here, and it's going to be purified away, and adapting going to be slowed down a little bit by that wall from Callus.
He was really looking to get both there, and just off the mark on iceicebabyy. It looks like iRaffer's been playing too much PvE. That looks like a Xing Chen's Mountain build, doesn't it?
Maybe it is, actually. It's a good point. Like, he's trying to get banged for his book overall.
Right, yeah. What do you have, 1,300 gold? So he's just trying to get as much, exactly, as efficient as possible.
Well, Yammyn getting aggressed on there by iceicebabyy in the mid lane, but the Ragnarok was on cooldown anyway, so they won't see any follow-up. However, the rotation from the whole of NRG towards mid lane here, other than Dimi, who's going to try and pressure out that right-hand side, and now come back to help defend this speed buff that Cyclone looking to take away. Spirit Ball over the wall, speed buff gets dropped and goes the way of Cyclone, and the fight's going to enrage as well.
VoteNBK already here using that ultimate. Big stellar, huge toss into the Ice Assault.
And he does go off for massive amounts of damage too. Still though, NRG is standing tall for now. iRaffer being forced out by the Brutalize. And again, iceicebabyy goes in, but emilitoo says, not today, my friend. We'll walk away. Spirit Ball hits 2, and the fight reinitiates one more time. Up, down from Deathwalker, and the Roar's going to slow emilitoo, giving VoteNBK the kill. The Wind Gust as well. This could be Dimi dying. 6 for 2 overall. Cyclone take the speed buff, and a major fight against NRG.
What a turnaround there, laying down the obelisk and then hitting that huge Spirit Ball around the corner was Wlfy. A little bit too ham was iceicebabyy, but if you're going to trade 1 for 3 every single time, you'll take it. VoteNBK was in the air way before they even looked at that speed buff. Definitely great communication coming out of Cyclone, and now a tier 1 tower is going to fall as well.
I mean, not only that, the opportunity to do that. Adapting trying though in the mid lane to chase somebody down here. Wlfy is a little bit low on mana. However, immediately going to use that Wind Gust to get away. But I love the call from Cyclone here. They not only win the fight, take the speed up, but they also go for objectives afterwards, aggro.
This is a team that has some confidence. That's what you like to see from these teams who are just kind of breaking into the league. Let's see if you can actually hold your own against a team like NRG. NRG had started to make the comeback, but now it's Cyclone on top again.
No escape from iRaffer after the blink. Going to pull in only the one target, which is Callus, but Callus takes a lot of free chunks, but into the monolith he goes, so he will be able to sustain back up a little bit of that damage, as well as, don't forget, those reinforced shoes.
You can see the protection there. I mean, he took no damage from that pull, and it's an ultimate for free, basically, able to heal up using that obelisk as well. And now the whole of Cyclone is back and healthy. And look, Yammyn still no ultimate. iRaffer, that ultimate just down, and all the ultimates are now up for Cyclone outside of Terra's, which just popped right now. So we'll see if Cyclone want to make some sort of power play, knowing that iRaffer doesn't have his.
I think that was a beautiful play from Cyclone again, though. They recognized the Goal Fury could have been the opportunity for NRG, but they didn't commit to it because they used a lot in the last engagement as well. Just hanging around there and showing face made sure that NRG couldn't take it for free.
Definitely thinking a step ahead. You know, what can our opponents do next? It's always a game of chess in Smite.
The whole time as well. And when you see actually the scorelines coming out here, Ice is in the mid lane. Wlfy's had a pretty good game for himself so far. I will say those Spirit Balls have been really hitting home on very vital targets as well. But 006, he's looking for 007, see if he can become James Bond at some point in this game.
He'd probably rather be 106 than 007.
That's probably true.
That'd be cooler. I mean, it'd be cool to be 007.
Everybody wants to be 007. Golf Fury going to get pulled by Cyclone here, though. Callus on a bit of his own duty. No solo laners here at the moment. Both teleports down, so they won't be here for this Golf Fury this time round. iRaffer does walk all the way in, though, forcing the Golf Fury reset, and Terra's blessing is forced on Callus as well. But they're looking towards iRaffer. They're going to pick him up and bring him in, but round the corner comes Adapting. The assassin from the jungle going to allow Yammyn to get a lot of damage off with the drums of war, but still, iRaffer falls, and with Deathwalker now over here too, and Dimi still on his way. Cyclone pick up a kill and survive.
Another huge circle of protection from Wlfy there, perfectly played, but that is a lot of ultimates to commit to just one person, that person being iRaffer. Now the Gold Fury being looked at by NRG already below half health.
Well, this time around, there's only really Dimi with an ultimate available for this next fight overall, but they're committing heavily here onto the backside looking for picks, and they'll find Adapting again, Cyclone. Now they're looking for Dimi, who's isolated
what
alone.
A silence!
Yammyn and emilitoo are trying to support and get him out, and Dimi will actually pick up Wlfy because of it.
Just able to pick him up using that dash. Now iceicebabyy going to be looking at Dimi. No important cooldowns available, but there is the dash. No mana on him, but Yammyn's going to try and support his teammate as he walks out. Nice engage, though, overall. Deathwalker, without even the ultimate, uses the blink to get in, get on top of emilitoo. Hold on, Yammyn wants to go on top of iceicebabyy.
Yammyn would try to force something if he could there, allow his team to get back into this in terms of the fight in any way overall, but Cyclone just committing so well on these objectives, and a lot of credit goes to this guy we're looking at right now, that Fenrir. I mean, involved in 7 of these kills out of the 8 so far, and really not scared to keep committing.
Whenever you're pre-20 minutes, that's what you want out of your Fenrir. He needs to be everywhere because this is the time that he shines right now. But you know who else is shining is VoteNBK. His ultimates have been perfectly timed, and we saw him use that mez to interrupt Adapting, trying to get out using the Storm Kata perfectly. That was a great play by VoteNBK there.
I mean, VoteNBK has played in the Pro League before as well, played for the Justice in previous seasons here, and one of his go-tos really was this Apollo. Like, he was very staple on it for the most part.
We were talking about it before the set, you know, what gods these players like to play, and it was like Apollo, but it was like, okay, you know, that was probably Golden Bow, Season 2, that kind of stuff. It's not as prevalent now. Yeah, and of course, he pulls it out and making it work perfectly. The thing I like about his build, those first 3 items are all insanely cost efficient. All of those are very, very cheap, and getting that first blood, getting those boots early allowed him to finish his boots earlier, then the Iqval, then the Aussie, and now he's going into this more expensive item. Now that he has the pen online from Aussie, he's doing a nice job. Look at, I mean, he's already 4 items deep into that build. You only need 6 to be full build.
On top of that, because of his passive as well, this is probably why you don't see the Ninja Tabby coming out from the Apollo as well, just because it'll overcap his attack speed, if anything else, if he's going for a build like this.
And look at how fast he's doing this Gold Fury already, not taking a ton of damage, only 19 minutes, and he's got this Gold Fury to about 2/3 health all by himself.
Very cheeky, but at the same time, I think what happened there, Cyclone called that mid laners were moving towards red buff, and he was like, oh, they know.
But they didn't know, and that's the thing. They went right to the red buff. He probably could have snuck that. He's probably not in any danger if he keeps that leash either. As soon as they poke around that corner, you're still free to get out of there. I know Susano has a lot of chase potential, but you're still Apollo, still one of the most mobile gods as well.
Well, Ward was the beginning of the Gold Fury this time around as well. NRG just going to ward out for themselves, and Callus going to try and answer back at some point, as VoteNBK will return to lane eventually.
Look at the player damage chart right now. It's like,
funny, isn't it?
It's so interesting that Cyclone has 8 kills, and there's 4 members of NRG above their top damage dealer, and that is good target calling in practice, as well as NRG probably grouping up a little bit too much. We've seen multiple people getting hit by the same, Spirit Balls, Circle of Protection, multiple people walking into it, that sort of stuff. NRG has to spread out a little bit more because they don't have a ton of AoE on the side of Cyclone. Once we see that Spirit Ball and Circle of Protection down, they can kind of funnel in like they've been wanting to.
Well, the whole fight's going on. I did want to bring up Rod of Asclepius coming onto the Xing 10 here, and I don't think it's really designed for him. Yeah, he's got great HP 5 regen, but at the same time, I mean, Terra's Blessing, Monolith, Isis Ultimate is going to impact all of those.
And it's just a good item overall. I mean, even if you don't yeah, exactly. I mean, even if you don't have that huge healing in your kit, you're right. It will affect Terra's healing. It will affect all that, the lifesteal even coming out of Fenrir's too, all that kind of stuff. So I'm surprised more people haven't gone into this item. It gives you tankiness, and it gives you power, and it boosts the healing, which is important.
We've seen it on Isis's before in the past as well. They've run it in the mid lane, so it's not a biggest shock in the world, especially on a Guardian. I mean, we could even see something like Terra do it just to influence the team. But I think on a solo lane Guardian, much more useful.
Much more useful because it is an expensive item, and you don't want your Guardians going for those items that are expensive and don't give any protections. They're going to be focused, and so they need that protection.
Well, Dimi's still working away in that solo lane so far. He is level 19, the highest in the game as we speak, and that tier 1 tower is slowly being chipped away at nicely from Dimi on this right-hand side, but his rotations have been a little bit late because of this overall, and Deathwalker getting to that fight earlier has actually helped out Cyclone a bit.
And that's kind of surprising. When you think of that lane matchup, you expect the Warrior to outclear the Guardian and then get to these fights first, but it's really been Deathwalker who's been pushing that pace in the solo lane, and that's been a big part of why Cyclone's been winning these fights. But now we're getting to the point, Guan Yu level 19, this is when that heal starts to become very significant, and so these fights have to be quick kill in and out for Cyclone, because the extended fights are definitely going to start going into NRG's favor.
And Cyclone, they've been still very respectful to NRG, even though they've won the last couple of engagements here. They're still respecting around this Wlfy pit, not trying to overly force it and make a mistake that could potentially once again bring NRG back into this and actually give them the gold lead for the first time in the game.
I like it. I like this sort of look of experience. Hold on, a big blink from iRaffer.
No escape is off, but Ragnarok is going to pick up adapting immediately. The Spirit Ball hit Yammyn as well from Max Range, Apollo in the sky. Meanwhile, iceicebabyy is being forced out by the Typhoon that's down too. Focus on to adapting here at the moment. Still Apollo in the sky at the moment, and now adapting falls down. The Purification was forced earlier. The Jungler is now down, and it's a 4v5.
Wlfy and Deathwalker working so well together right now. Yammyn up into the drums, looking at Deathwalker, just not quite enough damage yet.
And now iceicebabyy on the backside though, committing for the carries. The Spirit Ball hits two. The Gold Fury's aggroed as well. Sanctuary force on Yammyn. Still, everybody's standing for Cyclone for now, and they're forcing out the boys of energy. Raffer's isolated in the pit, gonna sacrifice himself for the good of the team. But I don't think that's necessarily the case, because still Callus zoning the other three.
And VoteNBK still full health. He still has the ability to go in there and tank up a lot of this damage. Dimi and Yammyn still hanging around, not looking to give up this Gold Fury for free, but there it goes, and they're still here. Yammyn still has the Purification available, but now Dimi's in a ton of trouble.
And he's got no mana even to get out of this one aggro. He's gonna fall down too. 11-3. They get 3 kills in that engagement to the boys of Cyclone, and now they can strip a red buff as well.
That's exactly what you want to do against an Ares. Let him blink, let him get that no escape, and then just go right past him and kill his backline.
iceicebabyy did so well, because his decision to use Ragnarok and go straight towards adapting, got adapting's Purification immediately, and then they reinitiate a second time and managed to get him in some CC chains.
Wlfy's positioning has been so on point this game. That's one of the hardest parts about playing Isis, is your positioning, because you are so vulnerable. We've only seen him die once, and he's been waiting to use that circle of protection. Just gets he gets a softball, right? He gets an underhand toss from Deathwalker with a Whirlwind of Rage and Steel, and then pops it, exploding, adapting, hitting another person as well. And NRG just still so grouped up. We saw them all right on top of that Gold Fury, multiple people getting hit by multiple Spirit Balls. Wlfy playing it perfectly, but NRG just needs to spread out.
And credit where it's due to Cyclone, though. I think we've mentioned every single player on this team so far, because they're all making a really big impact for themselves, and it's not an easy task to do. You know, your final game of the split, and you're up against the world champions who have not actually dropped a set whatsoever, but they're really taking it to them. They're not scared either. They've been quite respectful, which I think I completely agree with, but at the same time, they're not scared to push the advantage.
That's exactly what I was about to say before iRaffer made that blink at the Gold Fury, and that whenever you're winning against a team like this, you don't want to be like, oh yeah, we can do it, let's just take every fight we can. Just showing some real patience is really important, but also not being scared to be like, this is our fight, let's pull the trigger now. And it's a tough razor to walk along, but Cyclone's been doing it great so far.
So the problem they've got now, aggro, though, is the tier 1 towers down in mid and left-hand side as well, as is the Gold Fury. If you want to continue to extend this, what do you look for? I'm saying that, but we already see they're looking for emilitoo.
They're looking for emilitoo right now, taking him up into the Ragnarok. No Purification available, and gone. I mean, look and another cheap item for VoteNBK. He's now 5 items in. He's working on the Odysseus bow for the 6th. His item build is so cheap overall, and it's just been so effective. They're abusing this power spike that he has before other people so well.
And they're going to commit for the Phoenix here, because Deathwalker is sat here going, no boys, you're not going back to base A, that was a great blink. And B, you're not doing the fire giant either. I'm going to keep you in combat as long as possible, so my boys will get a Phoenix. Cyclone, oh no. For a second I was like, don't go that far, boys. No, they're going to do it.
They're going for it. They're going to go for the end. 25 minutes. Yammyn is the one to back.
Can they
and they're
do
full
this?
committing to the Titan right now.
And the backs are coming out, though, from the boys of NRG. The drums are war sounded. Dimi's in there, too, but MBK forced out. Callus gets paused in, as does iceicebabyy, and iceicebabyy will be a casualty of this mistake from Cyclone.
The greed, man. It was so greedy to go for the end there. They thought they had it. They got a little bit of poke on the Titan, but Deathwalker was never going to stop everyone from
he did a great job, but by the time they'd already taken that extra second to think about it and go back, they're not going to.
This is great. I love that they aren't focusing on the mistake. They're looking exactly towards the next objective. Circle of Protection is down. Adapting knows that this is happening. So does Dimi, but it's too late, I think. This Fire Giant's gone.
Adapting's got an ultimate available, but it's going to be close. Fire Giant goes the way of Cyclone, but only 3 members have it there on the side, but it's a great position still.
It is. Man, that was so greedy, but I love it. That was awesome.
I mean, to be fair, we saw them walk in and go, All right, let's end. And
Yeah,
then
they thought about it,
no,
and then backed up.
And
then they thought about it, and they're like, all right, we might as well go for it.
But maybe if they didn't hesitate, it might have been a bit of a different situation.
They only got it down, 80%. Even if they have that extra 4 or 5 seconds of DPS, it's not going to get any lower than 60%.
Well, it's also down to the towers being available as well. Obviously, every single tower provides
and that's the problem.
Extra
Exactly. If they wouldn't have had even if it was just the 2 Phoenixes available, maybe that is worth it because you can get enough damage that even when they back, they wouldn't have enough time to defend it. But exactly, 3 towers still standing for NRG. Just way too much protection and health on that Titan.
I do like what NRG did in response, showing their class overall there. Take a tier 1 and a tier 2 in the mid lane while all that was going on. Yeah, they lose a Fire Giant. Yeah, they lose a Phoenix off it as well. But the fact they answered back, realizing there was a small window there for them, does keep the gold and experience lead semi-even. You can't class NRG out just yet.
Small wins. That's what great teams do. They take the small wins and they turn them into big wins, and that is a small win right there once you lose the Fire Giant. But there's only 3 members, and they just committed a lot to the Fire Giant. Let's just push down, get a ton of gold for our team, and now it's on the ball is in Cyclone's court,
for
right?
Sure.
They're the ones with the Fire Giant. They're the ones with the 4K gold lead, and it'll be interesting to see what they do with Gold Fury up. I'm kind of surprised they didn't want to go to the middle tier 2 and transition to the Gold Fury, but maybe they're looking to take every single tower off the map and then go towards that Gold Fury.
NRG slightly here to defend, but with Adapting being back in base, they won't defend too hard there. Dimi is forced out on the right-hand side there. His Medjais is down now, and you can see Cyclone going to transition into the jungle again. Wlfy going back to base. Would you like to see Apollo maybe look to a bit of split push here?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Apollo stay on the right-hand side and push up there, but while you had gone for that middle tower and then the Gold Fury, but taking down those 2 towers kind of makes it unsafe for Apollo to start split pushing. The only tower that he has that he can really go for is in that middle lane, and obviously not the safest place to be split pushing. And yeah, you can split push the Phoenix, but you're all the way at their Phoenix, so he does need to be a little bit careful about that. But as long as he has the relics available, and with the build that he has, I mean, penetration on the Titan's Bane, penetration on the Aussie, not electing to go for the Devo Gloves option, he can shred towers and Phoenixes very, very quickly.
I will say the focus they've really put into adapting this game has really paid off for them. Yeah, Raff's been a free pickup for the most part, but that's been Ares, but adapting's been so out of the fights a lot of the time, not able to get to the backline that he's so used to doing against these teams.
Definitely punishing him, even though he does have both defensive relics and a Mantle of Discord now, along with the Void Shield. So a lot of protection and options to get out on his end, but they've been able to CC chain him really well, bait those actives out, and then go for him once they're down. But I'm looking at Yammyn now.
We'll see a fight here. There's the blink from Rafa. Only no escape onto 2 targets. One's VoteNBK, and the other one was, in fact, immune as well. And now Ragnarok in the sky going to force Adapting out again. The commitment on him. They turn their attention back to mid with Terra's Blessing. They continue charging on. Callus leading the boys in for the free tier 2.
Deathwalker in front now. Here comes the Spirit Ball, forcing the cavalry charge out of Dimi, and another Whirlwind of Rage and Steel pulls iRaffer way into the backline.
Raff is still alive for now, though, but forced out, and Yammyn's going to use the drum. Spirit Ball over the wall, not going to connect from Wlfy. However, Yammyn will find his mark on Icebabyy there, and with that, Cyclone have to consider going back here, but with 5 minions on the left, they're looking for this weakened Phoenix.
They want to pick it off before these fire minions go away. Looking at Yammyn, a great Spirit Ball, hits 2, forces 2 actives, but now Wlfy's in a little bit of trouble.
Adapting was aggressing onto him there for a second, but Deathwalker will still clean up Raff, and the Phoenix falls down as well. The root will slow them down, advancing there as Dimi forced to fall back. NRG lose their Phoenix again.
But it is the weakened Phoenix. It's not like you lost another one. Gold Fury did go the way of Cyclone before that. So definitely a good thing for Cyclone, expanding that gold lead to 10K. But right before that fight broke out, I was going to say, we need to be looking at Yammyn because he still has no deaths, and he's got the Rod of Tahuti online. Level 20, 30 minutes. This is where Raijin starts to shine. He went for this defensive Warlock Sash, which I like against the early aggression from Isis and Fenrir. Getting that raw HP is really, really effective against those characters. And in the late game, what Isis excels at is throwing those long-range Spirit Balls that are going to chunk you for half health. That's not going to happen when you have a fully stacked Warlock Sash. You saw how it did do 2/3 of its health, but that's a big difference. I mean, 2/3 to half is a big difference. The ultimate there was the entire difference, picking off iceicebabyy despite the purification.
And as you were saying that as well, Yammyn did go back to base there, pick up a majority of a Soul Weaver as well, so another 1,350 gold, he'll have that one finished for himself, and that's another power spike for him once more.
Having that burst potential, being able to just 2-3, maybe insta-kill still Wlfy, who's been able to do so much in these fights, though he also went for the Warlock Sash.
Talk about insta-kill. iceicebabyy going in on Raffer, but no escape used at the same time as Ragnarok, but he held the Ragnarok. Gonna Spirit Ball onto Raffer too. Into the root he goes, and VoteNBK credit for the kill. The Supernova forced out as well by emilitoo there, and Cyclone gonna fall back towards the Fire Giant one more time.
But using the Circle of Protection, he had to. iceicebabyy just took so much damage from those Tycho drums that he had to drop it, but it was too late anyways. A wasted ultimate there by Wlfy, and those have been so big in these team fights. That's really bad for Cyclone.
Well, this is where NRG need to shine now, because they forced emilitoo back as well. Left-hand side is pushing with Fire Minions. Fire Giant under threat by Cyclone. 4 members on zone duty, though, as VoteNBK is soloing this for the time being, taking a lot of free poke, and by tanking it, he also does reduce damage.
I'm surprised that Kalas didn't drop the Obelisk there to give him some sustain, tanking up that Fire Giant. Now about 2/3 health, kind of susceptible to the burst damage of Yammyn and adapting.
Well, NRG really showing their experience here, though. They've stopped them doing the Fire Giant once. emilitoo's pushed out left-hand side a little bit more here for now. Adapting is around the back, but they know it to Cyclone at the moment, and VoteNBK turns his attention straight to him. Pretty even trade, but the sustain from Monolith will help out.
It definitely will. iceicebabyy doing his best to try and get everyone out, but pulls in Dimi right into the Spirit Ball, and that's going to be it. Dimi falls, and now it's a 4v5.
And now they're going to heavy commit onto the Fire Giant again, because the Circle of Protection's back up. Typhoon is channeled,
No
though.
way.
Fire Giant goes the way of Cyclone. Adapting can't make it happen today.
Tried to snipe it out, but nicely timed by Wlfy. Nothing worse than dropping that Circle of Protection a little bit too early. But now VoteNBK using that ultimate yet again to dunk in onto Raffer. He's got nowhere to go.
And Raffer is going to get pinned down slowly but surely here. Chase into the other half of the map. Whirlwind of Rage and Steel used there just for flair more than anything else, because I think Cyclone realized this. They could take out the world champions in game 1.
Yammyn doing his best up into the Tycho drums, but not enough damage. Sanctuaried out from Wlfy, and it looks like this is Cyclone's game. They've gotten 2 Phoenixes down. They're looking at the 3rd, and the next target should be the Titan.
Yeah, no messing around from them as well. I like the fact they're going for this middle Phoenix as well. Just make sure they don't give him a small window, because we've seen it before.
The only problem is they have no minions yet. Look, that right-hand side is the closest minion wave, and that is not going to be a fire wave, so they're not going to have the minions to tank up this Titan.
Well, they do have a full Fire Giant, and still Raffer dead for another 10 seconds, but Dimi respawning with ultimate may make them back off for now as well, and I think that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, the safer call here. I mean, you could have gone for the end, but if you were going for the end, you probably shouldn't have gone for that middle Phoenix. It was kind of one or the other. Either way is safe-ish. I mean, I get it's definitely safer to go for the middle Phoenix, right? And Cyclone in a commanding position right now. 5 members with Fire Giant. Everyone's level 20 except for Terra. And VoteNBK should probably just ignore this Gold Fury. It's worthless right now. Back, get some potions, some power potions, and push for the end.
So when we look back at this game overall and how Cyclone got into this position, Aggro, was it mistakes from NRG, or was it more the fact that just Cyclone had played very well?
Honestly, I don't feel like NRG didn't come to play or didn't look prepared. I thought they played fine, and Cyclone just played better today. Cyclone just played better this game.
I do agree with that one. I mean, Raffer's scoreline is 1-8 right now. I think they tried the Ares to see how it would do against Terra, I think is one of the reasons we see this. Obviously, it's good against Fenrir anyway, we knew that.
Right.
But I think it was to see how it would do against Terra, and the answer's not great.
And like I mentioned before the game started, when you're a top team and you're confident, you can kind of do these experiments in real SPL matches, whereas other teams may only do them in scrims or ranked or something like that. And they're going to be okay. Now, this does eliminate them from the first seed if they lose this game. Isn't that correct? So
that's right. I mean, if they do lose this game, they cannot catch up with Bipolar Method whatsoever, which guarantees Bipolar Method to #1 in Europe, which is crazy.
That is pretty crazy. Who would have guessed, man? What an awesome split.
Very, very good split indeed. Left-hand Phoenix now being looked at. One more time into the house respawn. Deathwalker zoning away. 2 of the boys trying to flank around the side here, but 5 minions on all angles. And Cyclone just position themselves, waiting for the opportunity for them all to push at the same time.
Just wanting as many fire minions as possible. And now, most importantly, that Circle of Protection is back up. I'll bet you that was the reason they didn't go for the end, because having that protection and damage all on top of the Titan is really, really key here. Wlfy should just walk in as soon as he can, drop the Circle of Protection, everyone get on top of it, pop your relics, whatever you need to do to stay alive, and boom, that's going to do 3,000-4,000 damage to that Titan.
That's going to commit to Wlfy, but Wlfy going to use the Wing Gust and immediately return a little bit of poke damage there as well. Into the backside goes Deathwalker. As iceicebabyy got Dimi for free there. Yammyn's ultimate did not help him out enough, and now Yammyn's not got that one to defend.
We wanted NRG to be more spread out, but now they're too spread out. Dimi in the middle lane getting picked off, and now the focus for Cyclone is on the Titan.
It should be the Titan indeed, and they've actually bursted down. Circle of Protection is in there as well, and boom goes the dynamite. CycloneGG beat NRG 1-0. There's still a second game though.
That's awesome, man.
You realize what's going to happen in the second game, right?
What's that?
Have you seen this before? Have you ever seen NRG play?
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen the anger in Adapting's eyes before?
Yeah. He's going to go Thor, and he's going to be 10-0.
It's gonna be quick.
It's going to hurt.
Unless,
but it's worth it,
unless Cyclone can really do what they just did, because they were fantastic.
And like we said, it wasn't like Adapting had a bad game, or Yammyn, or iRaffer. I mean, I know iRaffer's scoreline wasn't where you want it to be, but it was really because Cyclone played their composition so well.
Completely agree. I think it was a very good performance from iceicebabyy for me in the jungle. Really did a lot of the heavy lifting in the early stages of the game, I want to say. That first blood pick onto iRaffer helped a little bit, I guess. There was a little bit less pressure on the dual lane because of that, because Apollo was a little bit safer.
Right. Getting that cheap item build online a little bit more quickly definitely helps, but it certainly wasn't the turning point of the game.
No.
You know, NRG still had every opportunity to win it.
Completely agree with that analysis overall there as well. So 3 points for Cyclone. They were on. They're now on 4. And if they can find this win as well, they're going to climb into the nosebleed section of 6 points, which could actually see them climb up almost 2 spots in the rankings. Very interesting.
A lot of, I mean, NRG eliminated from that first seed, but still a lot of seeding potential with this game.
And NRG, well, they can still actually slip from grace here as well, because Obey can still catch them if everything works out in their favor. But at the same time, NRG kind of have to lose this game first.
Can you imagine if NRG was third seed?
Third.
Like enemy 7th seed in North America, NRG 3rd seed in Europe. That'd be nuts.
Is this the teams are getting worse, or is it just the fact the scene's getting better?
I mean, I think it's pretty clear that the scene is just getting significantly better. The level of competition is just so much higher this split than any other time.
Well, let's